All right, today we're going on a bit of a journey. We're going to explore a vision of the cosmos that might just challenge everything you think you know about, well, everything. And believe it or not, it all kicks off with one single particle of light. So let's dive right in. So let me ask you a question. How old is a photon? I mean, really think about that. You've got this little particle of light, it's born in the fiery heart of a star, it travels across the vastness of space for, say, millions of years, and its entire journey ends in an instant when it hits your eye. So, how much time has passed for it? And here's the mind-bending part. According to physics, the answer is zero, not a single second. From the photon's own point of view, its creation and its destruction happen at the exact same moment. It experiences no time whatsoever. And that right there, that's our first clue that reality is a whole lot stranger than we give it credit for.
Okay, so if light itself is timeless, what on earth does that mean for everything else? You know, for matter, for the stuff that you and I and planets and stars are all made of. We've all seen this equation a million times, right? But I want us to look at it with fresh eyes. This isn't just some abstract formula for physicists. It's telling us something absolutely fundamental about reality. It says that mass, physical stuff, isn't a separate category. It's just a colossal amount of energy all bundled up and slowed down.
The source material we're looking at today has this beautiful term for it, frozen radiance. And this idea just completely flips our normal perspective. See, we tend to think of the universe as a big, dark, empty box that has some light in it. But what if the universe is light? A single, unified field of it, and all the matter we see is just a temporary, frozen state of that light.
Okay, so let's run with that. If everything, literally everything, is just one unified field of energy, one field of light, then you have to ask the next logical question. What shape does it take? How does a single unified system organize itself?
Now, the way we usually learn it, we're taught to think of all these separate forces and fields, right? You've got gravity over here, electromagnetism over there, and it's super useful for doing the math. You could call it a kind of cosmic bookkeeping, a way to keep all the accounts in order.
But here's the critical point this source makes. We're confusing our bookkeeping with what's actually real. To say gravity is one thing and the Higgs field is another is to mistake our labels, our categories, for the underlying reality.
This brings us to a concept called ontology. It's just a fancy word for the study of what is, what actually truly exists. And the argument here is that ontologically, these fields aren't separate entities. They are all just different behaviors, different expressions of one single indivisible energy.
So what happens when you have a single, self-contained energy system that has no outside to leak into or draw from? What shape must it take? Well, the only geometry that works is a torus. Think of a donut or a smoke ring. It's a perfect shape for self-sustaining, self-recirculating flow.
And the wild thing is, once you know to look for this toroidal pattern, you see it absolutely everywhere, at every conceivable scale. You see it in the orbitals of an atom. You see it in the swirling vortex of a hurricane, and you see it in the majestic spinning arms of a galaxy. It's almost like it's the universe's favorite go-to shape. So, if we accept this model for a second, that the universe is a single, self-contained toroidal system, then some of our most basic ideas about cosmology really start to wobble. We've all had this number drilled into us, the official age of the universe. The story goes that everything popped into existence in a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago.
But just think about that for a second. To measure the age of anything, you need a clock that exists outside of it. But you can't have a clock outside the universe because the universe is, by definition, everything. That 13.8 billion years, it's an internal measurement. It's like measuring your own heartbeat. It's a measure of change within the system, not the age of the system.
And this same logic just completely dismantles the popular idea of a multiverse. I mean, the word universe literally means all that is. The moment you imagine another universe existing next to ours, you haven't created a multiverse. You've just redefined the word universe to be a bigger thing that now contains them both. The concept kind of eats itself. This leads us to the final and maybe the most profound piece of this entire puzzle, and that's the link between the physical world of energy and the seemingly abstract world of information.
So there's this fundamental law in physics called Landauer's principle, and what it says, basically, is that to erase even a single bit of information, like to flip a 1 to a 0 on a computer chip, you have to use a tiny but very real amount of physical energy.
What this means is that information isn't just some abstract idea floating around in our heads, it is physically, fundamentally tied to energy. You can't have one without the other. They are two sides of the very same coin. The universe isn't just a dumb, physical machine, it's an information processing system.
Okay, let's bring all of these different threads together now. We've talked about timeless light, matter being frozen radiance, this universal toroidal shape, and this deep link between energy and information. So what's the grand vision? What does it all paint?
Well, first, the cosmos is one. There aren't a bunch of different separate fields for gravity and matter and so on. There is only one indivisible field of energy that's just expressing itself in a bunch of different ways.
Second, this one, unified field is, at its core, light. All the solid matter that we see around us, the planets, the stars, our own bodies, it's all just condensed, frozen radiance.
And finally, this single, light-based cosmos is eternal. It has no outside clock to measure its age. It didn't have a singular beginning, and it won't have a final end. It simply is, constantly flowing, changing, and recirculating within itself.
And this brings us to the full picture, described perfectly by the source as an eternal toroidal ocean of energy information, self-circulating, emergent, and timeless. A single, incredible system, forever flowing and forever becoming.
Which of course leaves us with one last massive question. If this vision is even close to being true, if the cosmos really is a single, unified, timeless whole, then what does that make us? What are we? Who feels so separate living inside of it? Now that is something to think about.